Good morning. It's Sunday, November 10th, 2019. I am in beautiful downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. I've come to do something. I came to help celebrate the birthday of Kurt Vonnegut, author Kurt Vonnegut, which is tomorrow, grand opening of his new museum. But I also came to do something else which I've wanted to do for a long time. I am at the Landmark for Peace in downtown Indy. On this spot on April 4th, 1968, Bobby Kennedy came as part of his campaign to give a speech. And earlier that day in Memphis, Tennessee, Martin Luther King had been shot and killed on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. Martin Luther King was in Memphis that day to help with a sanitation workers strike that was going on, and unfortunately that was his last day. There had already been reports that there was some violence and riots breaking out in different cities across the country based on the news. Bobby Kennedy's advisors told him not to do it, that they were worried that something might happen to him or the crowd might, people in the crowd might get injured. But Bobby Kennedy insisted on going up and standing on the back of a flatbed trailer and giving a speech. He had had a speech written that day and decided to just set it down, and he basically ad-libbed the speech that night. And he basically told the crowd the news, most of whom had not heard it already. And Indianapolis was one of the few cities in the country that did not have some type of violence or outbreak or riot that day. And some people have said that Bobby's speech that night kind of helped quell that. But I'd like to read a little bit of his speech that he gave that night. I have some very sad news for all of you. I think it is sad news for all of our citizens. It's sad for people who love peace all over the world. The news is that Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. He was killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that work. This is a difficult day and a difficult time for the United States. It might be a good idea to ask what kind of nation we are. We should ask what direction we want to move in. We can move in a direction filled with hate and violence. We can move toward the country being more divided. We can move toward black people staying amongst blacks and white people staying amongst whites. The two groups could be filled with hate towards one another, or we can try, as Martin Luther King did, to understand. We can replace that violence, that strain of bloodshed that has spread across our land, with an effort to understand. We could have kindness and love instead. We have to try to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. What we need in the United States is not to be divided. What we need in the United States is not hate. What we need in the United States is not physical attacks and lawlessness. We need love and wisdom. We need kindness toward one another. We need to have fair treatment under the law for those who still suffer within our country. As he stood on that trailer that night, and the crowd was heartbroken, I think he was talking to himself as much as he was talking to the people there. But I think what he was trying to get to was what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy have been heroes of mine for a long time, and I've listened to his speech probably 100 times over the years, trying to get some wisdom, some guidance from him. But the sad thing is, in those 51 years, I'm not quite sure how much more progress we've made or where we've come since that night. I could talk about a lot of different dark things that are going on right now in our country, but the one that strikes me more than the others and scares me the most is just the level of meanness that's out there. Meanness and hate and bullying by many who see others beneath them or even as non-humans. It seems like the country has broken into tribalism and cult followings of my political candidate this, your political candidate that. my interests are more important than yours. There's not much common ground to be found on much of anything, much less where we want our country to go to at this point in time. Many people, it seems, don't want us to move forward at all, want to go back to some point in time in the past that they think was better. Some point in time that never really existed to begin with, in my opinion. This isn't some type of political rant or support of one candidate over another, or a political party over another, or this election or that election. It's basically just a plea from one guy, this guy, with one voice, asking those around him, fellow Americans, to stop and think about the direction that we are moving as a people and as a nation. Now more than ever, we need common decency, common understanding, and common ground. Instead of hate and violence and distrust, we need love and compassion and understanding and kindness and grace. We can do better, and we must do better for our own survival, that of our children, and for all those still yet to come. I guess in a way this is a message, a love song to the country and people I love, seeking a better place for all of us. I'll finish by quoting another hero of mine, someone who has spent his entire career asking many of the same questions and hoping for a better world, just like Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy and countless others. I'd like to say that Bruce Springsteen is a friend of mine, but we've never met, never spoken words to each other. But I've listened to his music, read about him, I've written about him with my own thoughts. So I guess in a way, we've kind of been having a conversation for a long time now. He's got a new movie out now called Western Stars, where he sings the songs from his new album. But in between, there's like these mini movies, beautiful, excellent. I'd highly recommend it for anybody out there that can go see it. And they're like mini meditations on a lot of things: love, life, family, community, transformation, and forgiveness. And I'll close with his words from the movie. A love song. It's a redemption of your heart, your soul transforming through hard times and hard realization. We drive out of the darkness and into sunshine and love. I wish unto you and yours only love, companionship, God's blessing, and a guiding light through the dark for all your days. When the music is over at the end of the day, life's mysteries remain and deepen, its answers unresolved. So you walk on in pursuit of those better questions, tentatively putting one foot in front of the other, through the dark, because that's where the next morning is. Travel safe, pilgrim. Thanks for your time and for listening and watching, and I'll be seeing you further on up the road.